Most people think that diet and exercise are the keys to health. I was having a conversation with a wellness expert friend of mine, and we were talking about how important diet versus exercise were to becoming physically and mentally stronger. I said that I think diet is probably 70 to 80% of the equation, and he stopped me point blank and said, nope, sleep is at least 50% of the formula. Then everything else just falls into place. I'd just taken for granted how many different things I'd incorporated into my evening routine to help me sleep really, really well. But if you're not getting good sleep, then nothing else matters health-wise. If your physical and mental health is important to you, then you need to move from sleepy to supercharged by implementing these 4 core ideas. Okay, we're almost at the end of our 6-week health sprint, age 40. And today we're talking about something that is sort of foundational to our physical, mental, and environmental health. Have you ever spent much time or attention trying to optimize your sleep? I hate to mention Seinfeld again, but he's got a great bit about this. He calls it night guy and morning guy. And night guy wants to have fun. He wants to party. He doesn't want to go to bed. And sure, he might be tired and hungover the next day, but that's morning guy's problem. But you are morning guy. I am morning guy. We will be that person in the morning. That's the whole joke. It's pretty absurd because it's impossible to live like that without experiencing all of these negative consequences. So this is about you. Like, I need to know how much attention you're giving to sleep right now. Maybe you look super forward to jumping into the bed at the end of a long day, but are you actually getting good quality sleep? You might be lying down and think you're resting, but are you going through those cycles of rejuvenation and restoration? I mean, if we're gonna spend a third of our lives doing this one thing, then our pillows should be amazing. Our mattresses should be amazing, right? We should feel like the environment that we sleep in is really contributing to us getting that deep sleep that we need. So today, our idea is rest. We're gonna take a good look at sleep, why we need it, what happens when we get it, and then we're gonna go over some really cool optimization strategies that you may have never heard of that could actually help you with ensuring that you get a deep and restful night's sleep. So most people have heard of sleep cycles, but understanding what's going on in the brain while we sleep can actually help us appreciate just how important quality sleep actually is. So here's the deal. When you sleep, your brain goes through these things called sleep cycles. And each cycle lasts about 90 minutes. And we typically go through 4 to 5 of these a night. And then within each cycle, there are 4 distinct phases that our brain sort of progresses through in a very specific order. So the first phase is called non-REM 1 or N1. So this is that initial stage when you're sort of just drifting off. You might even be kind of aware of your surroundings, but your brain waves are definitely slowing down. Your muscles are relaxing, but we're not fully asleep yet. It's super easy to be woken up during this stage. And you might even notice some strange thoughts or the beginnings of dreams in this stage. Then next comes non-REM 2 or N2. So this is where things start to get a little bit deeper. Your brainwaves slow down even more. Your heart rate will actually drop, sometimes significantly, and your body temperature decreases just a little bit. You're less aware of your surroundings, and this is the phase that we're gonna spend sort of most of the time in throughout the night. And then after that, we move into non-REM 3 or N3. So some people call this stage slow wave sleep or even deep sleep. And this is really where the magic happens. This is the kind of sleep that you really want to try to maximize. So during N3, our brain waves become these super slow delta waves. And it's really hard to wake somebody up from this stage of sleep. And this is where our body does most of its repair work. So it actually releases growth hormones and it starts to repair the tissues. Our immune system gets a boost and our brain does some really serious housekeeping and it cleans out all the toxins that have built up during the day. So studies have shown that deep sleep is crucial for physical recovery in memory consolidation. And really it just helps us maintain good, powerful overall brain health. So if you're not getting enough deep sleep, you're really missing out on all of these key benefits. And then finally, after N1, N2, N3, we enter the 4th phase, which is called REM sleep. So this one you're probably a little bit familiar with, rapid eye movement, because During this phase, our eyes, when they're closed, are darting around like crazy behind our eyelids. So our brain waves actually become sort of more active, almost similar to when we're awake, which is why this phase is where most of dreaming occurs. And your body actually becomes temporarily paralyzed, which is a good thing because it prevents you from acting out your dreams. Now, REM sleep is super important for emotional regulation, for learning, and for memory. Studies have found that people who are deprived of REM sleep have a harder time remembering things that they've learned and really tend to have more negative emotional experiences. If you want to be on top of your game, both mentally and emotionally, you got to make sure that you're getting enough REM sleep. So that's how your sleep works, but let's look at what happens during those stages, which actually give us some huge benefits. So first, when you sleep, your body goes into recovery mode. You've had a full day of who knows what kind of exercise or energy expenditure, maybe you've even been injured. So when you shut down at the end of the day and go to sleep, other systems in your body, they sort of get to work. Your pituitary gland releases a hormone called HGH, so human growth hormone. And that does exactly what it sounds like. It helps us grow. This hormone is responsible for aiding with our muscle and bone growth as well as repairing our cells. So if we actually worked out during that day and we developed these micro tears from lifting weights, let's say, sleep is when your body has a chance to build back the muscles stronger than before. This is really how gaining and growing muscle works. Your rest and recovery is just as important as the time actually spent in the gym. The second thing that happens when we sleep is a process that is just incredible. It's called the glymphatic system, but I prefer the name brain bath because it's basically what it is. While you sleep, cerebrospinal fluid starts flowing through your brain and it clears out all the toxins, all the waste products that have built up throughout the day. This could be proteins that may even develop into Alzheimer's disease. So the space between our brain cells increases by about 60%, so the fluid can move more freely. And it literally washes our brains. It flushes the fluid into your lymphatic system and ultimately your liver for disposal. I mean, this just sounds crazy, but it's true. This brain bath is most active during our deep phases of sleep, meaning if you're not getting enough good quality deep sleep on a daily basis, then your brain is not flushing all these waste products out as efficiently or often as it could. And the third thing that happens when we sleep is our memory gets solidified. So this is where all of our experiences, our short-term memories, get converted into long-term memories. There's some mystery here about exactly how this happens and the role of dreams, but researchers acknowledge that dreaming definitely does play a role. I mean, have you ever noticed how your dreams can be these echoes or sort of fragments of things that we experienced throughout the day before, maybe even right before we went to bed? Almost like your brain is trying to process and categorize our experiences. When I have a good night's sleep and I come back to the next day, stuff seems to just flow, really with ease. It's like overnight, my brain took all the information I was consciously feeding it the day before, it solidified it, it baked it into my muscle memory, so the next day I don't have to really try as hard or be so conscious of what each finger is doing, of what my brain is doing. And the last and maybe the greatest benefit of good sleep is improved emotional regulation and well-being. We've probably experienced this ourselves. When we're short on sleep, everything is just harder to deal with. If you're a parent and you've experienced maybe caring for a newborn, you can absolutely attest to this. Sleep deprivation is literally torture. Your ability to deal with setbacks, your ability to deal with negative emotions, these things just tank when we're running low on sleep. And it's really hard to be creative if you're drained. I mean, your own tank needs to be full before it can overflow into someone else's. So if we want to become people who love our lives, who are motivated, healthy, and engaged in serving the people around us, we have to get sleep. So how do we do it? Well, there are the basics, like get a good mattress, get a great pillow that you love. I used to have neck issues, and so getting the right pillow was a complete game changer for me. So I don't really wake up in the morning with a stiff and sore neck. But I wanted to go beyond the basics and have some strategies that you can use that you probably haven't tried before. And you know how much we love acronyms here at Freedomology, so let's use one more to make this easy. REST. So R stands for regular. Now, we went over this during the Atom module where we we established a morning routine, and that was powerful for many of you. Remember that our bodies, they crave regularity. This means trying as much as we can to have the same sleep cycle. So go to bed around the same time each night and wake up around the same time in the morning. And my guess is that if you're at this point, age 40, you've probably started to go to bed maybe a little bit earlier or a little bit more consistently because you know you have to get up at a certain time, and that is good. And if you haven't established this yet, I'd encourage you to do so, because when our body knows what to expect and our life has a rhythm to it, then everything else sort of falls into place. You fall asleep quickly and easily when it's bedtime, and you wake up sometimes even before the alarm because your body realizes it's up and at 'em. So be regular. Try to keep your sleep and wake times as regular as you can. And maybe if you want to sleep in on the weekends, which, I get it, that actually is helpful for many of us. But if you're going to do it an extra 30 to 60 minutes, but really not much more than that. E stands for eliminate. There are a bunch of things that negatively impact the quality of our sleep, and by simply eliminating, removing these things from our life, that's going to have a huge impact. So the first thing that you want to eliminate is blue light. And I was very skeptical when I first heard about this a few years ago, but multiple studies have shown that exposure to blue light, so the kind that we get from our phones and TVs, in the hour or two before bed, can significantly reduce the amount of deep sleep that we get. And as we covered earlier, deep sleep is where really all the restoration happens. So you have a few options. You can turn off your screens in the hour before bed. Like, we never watch TV in the bedroom, and we actually have our phones in the kitchen. But let's be real, for most of us, we might not do that. So what is an alternative? Well, a very inexpensive alternative is to just buy some blue light glasses on Amazon. So this helps us optimize our circadian rhythm, and these aren't even prescription, but they just filter out all the blue light coming from our screens. This is going to make a big impact. And we also want to eliminate distracting noises and distracting lights. We want to make sure that our bedroom is like a sanctuary. It's a dark, quiet space where we know that we can completely relax. And then S stands for supplement. So you're going to supplement your sleep with various sleep aids. So this could be herbal tea before bed, like chamomile or valerian root, which can really help us relax and wind down. It could be actual supplements like herbatonin or magnesium. And remember to take magnesium before bed. I take it about an hour before bed, and it really helps you get into that deep, restful sleep that you need. Or if you want another one, then try binaural beats. They're pretty fascinating, and I gotta tell you, I was a little skeptical when I first heard about these too, but here's the idea. Your brain is constantly generating brain waves depending on our state of consciousness. So these different waveforms, they operate at different frequencies for really different patterns of consciousness, including sleep. So they can be measured and monitored through an EEG. So binaural beats are a kind of auditory illusion that can cause our brain waves to fall in sync with certain frequencies. So I know it sounds a little bit like hippie talk, but stay with me. This is called brain entrainment. And the way it works is this. To experience this auditory illusion, you need to be wearing headphones or earbuds, like with a mesh wrap around it to sort of keep it into place. And then each ear is presented with a slightly different frequency wave. So your brain is gonna take this mathematical difference in frequencies, and that's what you're gonna perceive as sound. So for example, if the right ear hears a 440 hertz wave and the left ear hears a 460 hertz wave, you're gonna perceive a 20 hertz wave or pulse. So if you're willing to try an unusual sleep hack, then give binaural beats a try. Or another thing that you could try is actually grounding. So sometimes it's called earthing, and it involves electrons entering the body. The idea is this: the earth has this electrical charge. You do too, I do. We have it in our body, and it's constantly communicating with all the electrical signals firing from the brain through our nerve endings and really everything in between. So when we come into direct contact with the earth, when we're barefoot, like we feel the electrical charge, it affects things in our body. And I know this sounds pretty wild, but studies have been done that demonstrated this exact effect. In one study, subjects sat in a chair in a dark room with wires hooked up to their hands and feet. These wires were connected to a grounding rod outside stuck in the ground. And within 10 minutes, the viscosity, the thickness of their blood was lowered. This actually helped reduce inflammation, and it actually increased blood flow. And other studies have shown that grounding can contribute to better sleep. It helps reduce pain, helps to sort of regulate the stress hormone cortisol, and it really regulates melatonin in the body. And I think in the modern era, we spend most of our time indoors. We're not on the grass or the earth. We're really not outside enough. And most of the time that we are outside, we're wearing socks or shoes, which sort of insulate us from the earth's electrical charge. But there are a bunch of different kinds of grounding products available for indoor use. They could be wristbands, ankle bracelets, grounding mats, or sheets and mattress pads. We have some friends and coworkers that swear by their grounding sheets, so maybe this would work for you too. So, R, E, S, and T. Regularity, eliminate, supplement, and T. So T stands for turn down and turn up. That is, we want to turn down the temperature in our room. We want to aim for an environment that's cool and comfortable. Not cold, but definitely not too hot. Our bodies, they naturally cool down when they enter sleep, and if we're too hot, it really just disrupts that rhythm. We're not going to enter that deep, restful sleep that our body really needs, and we're going to spend the night tossing and turning in light sleep. And then turn some sounds up. I think everyone's different here. So some people love white noise. Some people love the fan or music, even running water or rainstorms. But find what works for you. The idea is to raise the noise floor in your room, because our brains really only perceive change. If something doesn't change, then we stop sensing it. It's called sensory adaptation or neural adaptation. And this is why we don't feel our glasses on our head all the time, or I don't feel the ring on my finger. I only feel it when I take it off. But there's actually a part of our brain that is always listening for threats. And we want this because if we're sleeping in the woods and a bear sneaks up on you, we want that part of the brain to flag it and wake us up in time to maybe survive. But at home, when we don't need to worry about bear attacks, but maybe our house creaks, and maybe the temperature changes. Maybe we live in an apartment where the neighbors are noisy. So when we have this background noise, it gives us this noise floor, this baseline, that the end result could be deeper, sounder sleep. Some people enjoy falling asleep to music, others find it too stimulating. So again, there's really no one-size-fits-all approach here. Find what works for you. So that's the acronym, REST, regular wake and sleep times, eliminate hindrances like blue light and distractions, supplement with herbs, binaural beats, or grounding, and turn down the temperature and turn up the noise floor. Remember, what we're trying to do here in this H40 challenge is to build a rhythm of life, really stack habits on top of one another, and really build this lifestyle that we're actually in love with. So your action for this week, the rhythm that we need you to have, is an evening routine. You don't necessarily need to implement everything we just talked about, although it'd be awesome if you attempted them, but start to think about your evening routine the same way that you've been thinking about your morning routine, your atom. So what's one or two ways that you could improve your sleep this week? Do you need a new pillow? Is your mattress uncomfortable? Do you need to get a white noise machine to drown out the distracting noises? Or maybe it's something as simple as actually having a regular bedtime. It's completely up to you. So definitely drop us a comment below and let us know if any of these things are actually helping you get that deep, restful sleep we're all after.